Foster, and welcome to Window on the World. Missouri Southern State University strives to allow students to study all across the globe. On today's show, we welcome students who have recently returned from Germany with the Engineering and Technologies Department. I'd like to introduce Kat Gries, Annie Smith, and Karsyn Ballay. Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Now, before we dive into the actual trip to Germany, let's talk about what your majors are.
Industrial engineering.
Industrial engineering.
And logistics and transportation.
That's very interesting. What exactly did you have to do in the classroom before you could go to Germany?
A lot of the stuff that we did was research and prep. Unfortunately, we were only able to meet once a month to get everything together as far as information with, what to pack, what to expect being over there. But we met a few times for 2 hours once a month, and we were able to do some research on the cities that we were going to and, find things to do and just talk about what to expect and what to see.
We were also given individual projects while in class that entailed, as Kat said, different parts of Germany. Our professor, Claudia Wilson, was really good at providing us an overview of the country itself by allowing us to take sections and different plants of Germany that we would be going to and kind of dig in a little bit more, do some more research on them, and then present them to the class, and so we could all kind of make a communal decision on places we'd be interested in going to or places that we were about to go to, just to have a little bit more of an overview of what's going on, where we're going, and the country.
She split us up into groups, so not everyone knew each other, so just by doing that we got to know all the new people very well and learn about each other more.
Did you become very close with your classmates getting ready to go to a foreign country?
Yeah, I would say so. I think a lot of us knew each other already pretty well.
Through lots of classes.
Yeah, you have a lot of repeat classmates since the department's so small. With logistics, they still share some, actually a lot of classes with engineering, and I didn't know, I think a few of us didn't know Karsyn as well, but I had the pleasure of being her roommate, and so we got pretty close, and that was, I made a new friend out of the whole trip, so I think that was really neat.
We were on the bus for hours on end.
Yeah.
So we all got to know each other really well.
Yeah.
We were pampered. We had huge charter buses with only 11 of us on it, and then a driver, and so we were all able to cut up a little bit and have fun together, so that was neat.
Now, going to Germany, what did they tell you to prepare for? What was your safety measures?
Staying together, really.
Have your cell phone on.
Yeah.
Don't lose your passport.
That was the big thing. Is you could lose everything in the country if you had to, but make sure you have your passport to come back. That was
pretty much.
That was Claudia's big. That was basically her gospel. Is have that passport, have your tickets.
Never have too much money on you, because we had to pull money from banks there. So only grab, I think, €200 at a time, just so you're not holding too much, and keep everything locked away in the hotel rooms.
Yeah.
Be careful of pickpocketers and stuff.
Oh my goodness. What did you have to do to kind of keep an eye out for that? Did you have to have certain packs or just keep everything close to you?
Honestly, in Germany, I don't know how you guys felt, but I didn't really feel unsafe there. Only the more north we went, around Hamburg, I felt a little unsafe. It was just kind of a different populated city there. There were a lot of immigrants that had come over and that lived there. But I mean, I think we all just kept, crossbody bags, or the guys had their wallets still. I think they put them in their front pockets.
Yeah. The big thing is make sure, if you have a wallet, make sure it's in front of you. If you have a purse, make sure it's in front of you. Keep things zipped. It really was, if you feel unsafe, then, you're not going to find a great way to feel like you're protecting your stuff. It's just kind of making sure you're relaxed and knowing that your stuff is with you. So.
And just be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah.
And did you always have an instructor with you?
Yes, and she spoke the language fluently.
Yeah,
so
that was a help.
About the language, what did you do? Did you have to rely on her? Did they have you take German classes?
We probably should have.
Yeah, that's a big recommendation that I have. You're not going to learn the whole language in the months building up to it, but it's definitely beneficial to learn some of the phrases. One of the things that I learned mid-trip is sorry, I don't speak German. And so they'd be like, oh, American. Like, yeah, but sorry. And that was actually a really big blessing, is a lot of people were accommodating. You know, if someone behind the counter or helping us out didn't speak English, someone near us did. And so that was, you know, it's almost unfortunate that they have to, but it's really neat how they were able to accommodate us with that kind of thing. There was a language barrier, obviously, through the whole trip, but Claudia did translate a lot of stuff for us. So.
Most of them over there know English because they're taught English in like the 3rd grade.
Wow.
So they all have like a little bit of a background in English. So.
And a lot of the restaurants too had like, some of them had English menus, or some of them Mrs. Wilson would have to literally read down line by line the menu.
It's really funny.
So, but they did have a lot of English menus. I was kind of surprised, but they didn't have a lot of translations. You know how we have English to Spanish? They didn't have that. It was all their
And more
language.
of the tourist areas, they're used to people that don't speak German, so they would have even on the announcements over trains 3 different languages going. So.
And it's really about respect. You know, you got to be respectful. You're not in your home country, so you know, you can't get frustrated. It's kind of understandable if someone else does, because you're speaking English and they're not. But it's just being aware of where you are. And
What type of foods did you eat there?
a lot of
Schnitzel.
potatoes.
Like schnitzel.
Well, I guess it's like pork.
Yeah,
but
it's like a deep fried pork.
yeah.
It's breaded and fried pork, and it's
Served
I don't
in
know,
multiple
it's
ways.
like a
Some have
pork tenderloin.
sauces, different seasoning. I mean, it was really good.
I started with that meal. I think the very
Yeah.
first meal that I had in Germany was
Schnitzel and pommes, which were
schnitzel,
French
yeah.
fries.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of bread and a lot of potatoes. And it was really, really good.
We also did like Mexican food one night, Italian another, Greek. So
Really?
Yeah, they had a lot of different,
Yeah,
and it's
variety.
not. Yeah, they had a lot of variety, and it's not like the fast food Americanized variety. It feels like it's home cooking.
And when you go to gas stations or places like that, they have literal kitchens in there, and they make you like a home-cooked meal.
Yeah.
You don't just grab something off a shelf, like fast foodie kind of.
And you can, but a lot of people
they love their
don't.
French fries over there. We saw like stall after
Really?
stall. All they sell is French fries.
Yeah. It's really neat.
A lot of bread.
Yes.
That is fascinating. Now, let's kind of dive into what you saw there. Where did you go?
Oh boy.
Well,
We went all over
yeah.
that country.
Yep,
is what
starting
it
from
felt
the
like.
south all the way up to the north.
Wow.
I think we saw more than. Technically, we were in more than 10 cities, at least overnighting.
Yeah.
We started in Munich and ended in Frankfurt.
And Munich is isn't it their
Their wealthiest city.
Yeah.
city? So there was a lot of sightseeing, a lot of shopping, or like window shopping and things like that. But we saw places like Munich, the plant cities that we went to, like Stuttgart and
Wolfsburg, Sindelfingen, and
yeah, Papenburg, and they were all spread out. So we had to do a lot of driving to get to the different places that we were going. But we got to see historic sites,
Castles.
yeah. The image on the screen, that was actually one of our first stops in Munich for a tour that we did with an English-speaking tour guide. That was one of the arches.
And it was raining
that
that
is
day.
That was Heidelberg.
yeah.
Heidelberg is actually a little tourist town. It's more touristy than I expected, but that was the Heidelberg Castle. That's the overview of Heidelberg from the castle.
That is
And
massive.
It's
Very
it was
pretty day.
beautiful. It was a gorgeous day, and that was kind of the town square. The statue in the middle was a Catholic statue, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like
It went along, there was, it's not shown in the picture, but there was a very large church, and they actually had a bunch of different engravings and different historical writings on it. And I mean, they actually had pretzel engravings on there, and it told the baker how big your pretzel should be for that era of time.
Wow.
And if it wasn't big enough, then you were shorting your customers, and you'd get shut down. Actually,
That kind of comes from the baker's dozen.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The first form of quality assurance by engineers.
Yeah.
So.
they had little shops everywhere. It was so nice just to be able to go shopping.
walking friendly environment.
Yes.
for sure.
That's nice. So you seem like you're very active there, lots of walking. Did they tell you
yes.
before you go, you got to be in
She
shape?
said there's going to be walking. I don't think we were quite
We
prepared
climbed
for
the mountain to get to that castle.
That was neat. The first place that we did go to, which was in a place called Rudesheim, it was Rudesheim Ruins, and we got to climb. Yeah, that was our group picture right
At the
before
very top.
At the very top, right before we got to, and I think there was a 17% grade to get up
Yes.
there.
Our bus was too big. They
Yeah.
sent us the wrong bus. It was half a meter too tall.
So
Yeah.
we took a trail that we found out later was not supposed to be taken because it was closed for repairs.
It was closed for construction, but yeah, we did get worn. It wasn't really about being in shape. It was just making sure you've got comfortable footwear. You're wearing comfortable clothes. You know, that day I was sweaty. I sweat easily, and so it was pretty warm that day, and not a lot of cloud cover. But it was nice being in the castle because it was cooler with the stones and everything around. But it was just kind of being
Allergies.
prepared for
Very bad.
allergies. You know, make sure you have some for your allergies. Have sunscreen. I also burn easily.
What was the name of the plant that we accidentally hit on our skin? It was like nettles or something?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
It had like thorns on it, and if it brushed against your skin,
Yeah.
you got these little bumps, and it ached for hours.
It's just a
It was
little-
painful.
Now you went in May,
Yeah.
so here in Joplin, Missouri, in May we were having lots of rain and
We barely
tornadoes.
escaped all that.
Yes.
You escaped all that. How was the weather there?
Sunny,
Great.
except for the first day.
Except for the first
It was
day.
windy and it was like drizzling.
It was rainy. And the thing is our tour guide. He was a sweetheart. He's like, I'm so sorry for the rain. This was really poor timing. I was like,
He's like, it's gonna come down harder. It's gonna get worse.
we would have been
It's like-
trapped in a hurricane back home. So, but I mean, it was just a little bit drizzly, and then the next few days was mainly kind of overcast. But we had a lot of sunshine, and that was
Very
really
pretty.
really nice.
Sounds beautiful. Now tell me somewhere that you went that really furthered along your higher education.
All right, I'm going to take this.
I know
one.
that.
You want to take this one?
So, before the trip started, I was excited about seeing Volkswagen Das Werk, which is the plant they have over in Wolfsburg, right? So in Wolfsburg, they have the Volkswagen plant, and then they have Autostadt, and it's the big accumulation. Yeah, there
there
it
you
is.
go.
And it's accumulating both the car factory and then kind of like a park that showcases all of their brands and everything. But I mean, here I learned about inventory styles, the assembly lines, the robotics, each department, quality assurance, research and development, logistics, engineering, every department you can think of, it's there. Even their own fire departments and nursing and cafeteria, restaurant areas. These were some pictures from Autostadt. That was a Bugatti that we got to see.
Wow, it's like a single edition too. It's a rare.
They told us, yeah.
make of Bugatti, but it's the only one that's actually that kind of chromatic color.
Those were the neat car towers.
not street
It's all
legal.
automated. It's like I guess like a vending machine almost.
Yeah.
I think
They
hold-
would get them full for customers, and within 48 hours, it's empty again.
It's really neat the way they pull them from the towers, because it's like Annie said, it's automated. So there's a track that actually puts them there and then brings them back, because they can only be driven technically so much before the customer themselves get it, and so they have to move it by machine.
It was like a
to
test
the
track for the customer. They could go test out the car before they actually left the area.
Yeah,
Wow.
really, really neat.
I'm a little jealous.
These guys were so cute.
So what's going on here?
They were the first things that we actually saw going into, I guess, the park area. And so when a customer like either calls ahead or checks in, their license plates are sent to the towers that you saw to be put on the cars. And so those little guys, they're actually like autonomous robots that will transport those license plates to the towers. And so they drive themselves, and it's really funny. Every time they come back, you see people stepping in front of them, and they come to a halt, and then they go around. It's really, really cute. We were kind of obsessed with them, unfortunately, because we
They're all
I made sure to get
electric-powered, too,
Yeah.
so
it was really,
We were
really
kind of
neat.
chasing them around.
no emissions or anything. They were really neat little
They
guys.
were real quiet.
So after seeing these different engineering projects, what inspired you that you think you'll use later on in your careers?
I was blown away by the automation that we got to see in Volkswagen and Mercedes, even some of the stuff that we saw in the shipyard. And by automation, I mean basically something's programmed, and then a robot does it by itself. And I think Volkswagen and Mercedes are more than 95% automation for one part of their body shop. And so they've got, tons of metal swinging around poles and beams and not hitting anything, and it looks like light speed. And you've got different robots that are doing welding and painting and spot gluing and moving, and it was crazy for me to see, because I think a couple of us just finished a robotics course with Mr. Marsh, and it was overwhelming just with the little robots that we had there, and then seeing those in the shops it was almost hard to watch, because my heart was stopping every time it's like they were getting this close with just
the precision
huge,
of them.
yes.
It was amazing.
The marriages of the cars in the plants too, that was another huge aspect. I mean, that's, I think, the most vital point in a production setting is getting those together, making sure everything lines up, there's no tolerance difference, and if it doesn't, then the assembly line's going to have to stop, and then you're starting to lose money. And
that's when the pieces become the car, and everything that's right before it's tested and driven for the first time.
Just the amount of coding that would go into every single robot, and they have to maintain them like every 2 days, is it? They have to stop it all and make sure it's oiled and still working, and it's crazy.
The logistics too, of the number of people that work there. It's like little cities inside these plants, and just the idea of being the people behind, controlling what goes where, when, and how much material you need. That's, I think we had some level of understanding in a course called production planning. I don't know if you've taken it yet.
I will be soon.
Yes, it's on the docket, but it was difficult to wrap my mind around in the class, and then seeing it, the control of it in places like this. It seems easy once you see it out there, but I can't imagine the headaches that those people have. So I think that was definitely a big inspiration for me. Like, I can make it. I can make it work. I know what this is about now. So
you think Missouri Southern has really taken great strides to prepare you for the next step in your journey in engineering?
Dr. Howe is amazing. She really watches over our whole department. She really guided me in my field, and from going on this trip and actually getting to know Claudia Wilson too, she was pushing me too. She's trying to make me industrial engineering too, which it may happen, but
we're
trying so hard.
I have learned so much from them both, and they don't stop pushing you, and that's what gets us to the finish line, and it's priceless. I thank them every day.
Yeah.
Now, when are you set to graduate?
I'll be graduating fall of 2020, I believe.
I'm spring 2020. So.
I graduate this December.
Oh, very close, all of you.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, now, for this trip, did you have to be a junior or senior?
No.
Well,
I don't really remember.
There's some requirement. There was like at least 20 hours.
Yes, yeah. You had to have a certain amount of credit hours. I don't think it mattered if you were, coming in as a sophomore or junior, but you had to have a certain amount of credit hours and a certain GPA to be able to qualify for the trip, and then I think something higher like that to be qualified for like a scholarship or something.
There were only like 10 or 11 slots open for students, so you had to sign up.
It's a first come, first serve.
Very intensive
competition, and there's like maybe 50 kids.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, well, I know the engineering department kind of had first come, first serve. We were the first to hear about it. We had priority in applications because it was through our department, and like the School of Business does their own trip or something like that, where anybody, not anybody, but a lot of people can apply and have the same kind of entry level, but we did have priority just because it was one of the first trips that was the first trip that our department was doing like this.
Yeah, so it was kind of specialized towards us, which was really nice.
Now, do you think that you would take a trip studying abroad again after this experience?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think there's anywhere that I wouldn't go with the people in my department, and not to separate myself from the other departments, but I think whoever you go with, however long you're there, it's worth the trip. So.
In our group, we're fortunate. We're small, and I think everyone's pretty tight knit. Everyone wants to know each other, get to know each other, and just kind of have a good time with each other, and I mean, we all love engineering, so we're kind of, when we're put together, we kind of become little nerds and talk about it.
And it's a lot more fun when you're in a group than just off by yourself, and you're a lot safer too.
Yes. Now, how affordable was this trip for you as college students?
It was pretty expensive, and the main reason for that is because we were pampered. We had really nice hotels with good breakfast. We had charter buses taking us from city to city.
And a train ride.
We had a nice train ride. We actually got to ride their ice train, which is one of their fast track trains, and not a lot of people get to do that, but the tickets can be kind of expensive. The exchange rate between U.S. dollar to the euro, I think, was like about 25 or something like that. If you wanted 200 euro, you were paying 250 or something to actually get it. But the scholarships were definitely helped. They cut the cost in half, so that was definitely a big help for me.
The Department of International Studies is someone to be thanked, very much so. Chad Stebbins that was a great help, and he wanted to hear all about our experience. They want to receive that essay when we get back, and I don't know, did we send one before we go or just when we get back, right?
We had surveys out.
Before and after
without international studies, I mean, it would make a lot of people's trips hard, and it could be the make or break for someone. So I think having the opportunity between Placer School of Business and their grant that they allowed us, and then the University International Studies program, the one that they allowed us, I think that helped everyone out tremendously. I mean, anything helps, of course, when you're traveling abroad or with school period, but with those two programs allowing us a grant, that was pretty awesome.
I'm also going to give a shout out to my dad. He helped me a lot on this trip too. So he was like, "You're going." I'm like, "Okay."
And you really are at that age where you can go and you can spend this time there and you can learn, and it helps gear your career to the next level, because not everybody gets to go and see these amazing.
It looks really nice on a resume.
To revert back to your question about how it helps with your higher education, for example, seeing their just-in-time inventory system at Volkswagen, I've kind of taken some of that stuff, taken notes from their company, and kind of thought, man, how could I implement this somewhere else? Kind of put my own spin on it. And I work for Leggett & Platt in their manufacturing engineering department, and I've kind of thrown some ideas out, and they're going to take some into consideration, and hopefully someday they'll implement them. But I mean, you never know. But just someone out there that can grab an idea from another country, throw it in, and bring it back here, and tell your boss, hey, what about this? And if they start to think about it, it becomes something great. And it's helped me every day. And our classes that we take in the industrial engineering department too, we learned a lot about lean and different types of processing and manufacturing, and I think that was actually like the intro to engineering course that you have to take with the program, and Dr. Howe really details it and goes over everything, and it helped me out a ton.
Just the idea of, hey, I've seen this now, I know what it looks like, rather than just, I've heard about it. It's almost an empowering feeling. It's really neat.
Plus, companies like Leggett, they're worldwide, and so they look for people who are comfortable going international and being in different countries and learning the different techniques that other companies use and stuff. That's what a lot of these companies look for nowadays.
And already you're able to apply what you've learned through this study abroad program.
And that's one thing too with engineering, you can apply it anywhere you go.
Especially industrial.
So that's, industrial engineering is a great program here, because you can get hired on anywhere with that type of degree, because you can do any kind of department that you really want to. And they kind of do the same with logistics, because it's half engineering, half supply chain side, so you work in there with the engineers as well, and it's just...
So I wanted to ask you about your plane ride and your plane ride back. And now we have some more images up. What's going on here?
This was at the shipyard in Papenburg.
Yeah, the Meyerwerft shipyard. Their tour is more kind of like a guided museum tour. You get to see...
there are different brands of the cruise ships.
Different brands. You get to see the models. You get to see through a window where ships are being made. The picture before is us next to kind of like a mock propeller that wasn't even real size. And this is
just a section of a cruise ship.
Yeah.
They build these in sections within 6 months. 2 cruise ships a year.
Yeah.
Oh my
It
goodness.
is ridiculous.
And how we talked about the marriage with the car, where they put, you know, the axle with the top of the car. They do the same thing with the ship. They build half of it, send it out from the way oversized garage. And fun fact, the United States actually has the biggest ship garage here. So, but they'll load it out into the water, build the next part, and then eventually weld them both together, and they call it a marriage because you're putting them, you know, together.
Then they have to tow it out this small little
very curvy way.
Canal or something
Yeah.
out into the North Sea. So it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Very, very little bit of tolerance allowed on both sides.
They have to raise bridges and everything every time a ship comes through. So
That's
a little nerve-wracking.
So I want to hear about your plane ride. On the way back here, you told me before the show that you were exhausted.
Yeah, the plane ride out, we flew Springfield to Chicago, Chicago to Munich, and that was, the Chicago to Munich was the long trip. That was about 8 hours.
Oh my.
And what made that one rough is we were leaving at 5 in the afternoon from Chicago and arriving because of the 7-hour time change, 8-hour time change.
9:30 in the morning.
9 in the morning. So, you know, if you don't catch some Z's on the flight, you're up for about 30 hours straight, and
Major jet lag.
major jet lag.
We had a tour guide instantly, like when we jumped on the bus and he was
We
talking
couldn't
all about
check
the
into our
history,
hotel.
and you'd look around the bus and people were starting to, you know, close their eyes and fall asleep, but we felt kind of bad, you know, because we're in a new country, we should be awake, and some of us were just dozing, but
It was people. You could tell when people were kind of starting to get the irk to go back and relax, and I think our tour guide saw that too. But that was the longest tour that we had, and we saw the most on that tour because there's just so much to see in Munich.
He took us from one end of the city to the other.
Yeah, it's a huge area, and there's so much that we could have stayed hours longer to see. So.
Well, you have had some wonderful stories for us today, and I thank you for being on the show and speaking with us and really highlighting what you've learned in Germany.
Well, thank you
Thanks
for having us.
Yeah, it was fun.
To find out more about Missouri Southern State University's study abroad opportunities, please go to mssu.edu.